How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and in this video I wanted to reiterate my experience playing in one of the AFK custom game lobbies for Don't Starve Together The Forge as the character Wilson. So if you've been browsing, especially password protected lobbies, in the past week and a half, maybe 10 days, it seems to have become more prevalent that you will come across players who have created lobbies that claim to be AFK farms. And you might be wondering how this works. Well, I joined one as a Wilson. We played on a team of Wilsons. Alternatively, you'll see some being set up with Willows, all Willows on the team. So you might be wondering how this all works and whether or not it's worth it. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail while I let the gameplay in the background sort of show what it's like to be on a team with a bunch of Wilsons. So number one thing, the amount of experience that you can get for playing a match in terms of time is capped at something like 30 minutes. After that, you no longer continue to accumulate experience, which means you'll have to start the match over again. This means that even if you are AFK farming, you'll still either need to be present like once every 30 minutes to restart the match with the rest of the team, or you're going to need to create some sort of script that will automatically, click you through that process to get you back into the game again. Once you're in the game, however, though, the strategy that the team I was on used was Wilson would revive any fallen Wilsons. So by pressing the action key, by default it's space, for me it's F because I remapped it, your character has a certain range that it attempts to perform actions within. So providing there is nothing else around like darts to pick up or something, your character will just stand there until there is a valid action for them to do. One such valid action is to revive fallen players. So when the pit pigs kill one player, the rest of the players assist in reviving that one player. Now, you want to reduce the number of pigs down to one. From what I've seen, there's really no benefit in having more than one pig. In the past, I've seen stuff mentioned about getting additional XP for reviving players, but I simply never saw that show up in my game. What I got experience for was playing with friends and the time, in addition to perhaps one other thing, but I forget what it was. So at the end of that match, after somebody came back and ended it because we had the maximum amount of XP, it showed the total XP gain. And I'm just going to compare the number here versus a game where we won, my team won, which once again is not a given, and I didn't really receive any outstanding accomplishments. There were no daily quests that were completed for it. There were no unique accomplishments, the ones that renew every 2 days. And I got 8,640 total experience for the AFK game. I got 10,430 experience for the game that we played legit. And as you can tell, there was obviously a lot more effort invested in the game where we actually had to sit there and defeat the swine clops at the end. So from that perspective, an AFK farm is really a pretty good idea. It's a pretty good return on investment since time seems to give more experience than a lot of other things. That's not to say that you shouldn't play a few games to win every day, at least to get those quests and the additional bonus, the daily victory bonus as well as the daily playing bonus. Those add up quite nicely. You can get sometimes like 20,000 experience just from one game. But once you've completed that and you don't really feel like playing additional games for the fun of it, you could try to join one of these AFK lobbies to just sort of idle the game and get more experience by playing this. There are a couple of caveats here, of course. For one thing, if you get disconnected, you're not going to get the XP. It requires you to maintain a pretty stable connection. If you have a history of an unstable connection, or your computer might shut down or go to sleep when you're not using it, you might want to take preventative measures so that way you don't get disconnected. And the other thing is that once you complete a single game, it can be a little bit difficult to find players who are going to play additional matches back to back. What I've seen is that most lobbies will have to start again anew with the players who remain who are active and came back after those 30 minutes. Because let's say you're going to bed after that, you're not going to be available 30 minutes later when one person ends that match to begin a new AFK match. So you're going to cycle through quite a few lobbies, and you also might be waiting a while for these lobbies to actually fill up. For me, I think I kind of got lucky in that it took maybe 5 to 8 minutes to actually get started once I joined such a lobby, but there's no guarantee, and that lobby had, I think, 4 players already. And if your team is going to be waiting for like up at least 3 players to join, you could be waiting there for a while. And when it comes down to that time you spend waiting could have been time that you spent in a more productive match, because it's usually easier to get into a regular style game faster than it is one of these AFK games. Lastly, of course, like I said here, everything that you've seen in in this video, the video footage that I provided, as well as the experience that I discussed here, revolved around using Wilsons as the AFK team. I've seen Willows being used as the AFK team instead, and I can't personally attest to how that works or whether or not it's more effective than the Wilson team. I'm just presenting the Wilson team here because that was the lobby that I got into. So hopefully that gives you an idea or some options. If you have a certain level in mind that you would like to hit before the Forge ends. I know myself, earlier this year, I was kind of disappointed that I got stuck at level 99 when I was playing the Gorge. I just didn't manage to get out that last couple of matches to hit level 100. If there is a certain level you're aiming for here, joining an AFK team and sort of idling the game in the background every 30 minutes to get a little bit of additional experience comes out to quite a bit, actually, I would say. But yeah, that's the extent of my experience playing in an AFK lobby. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.